Rust is one of the biggest survival games in the world, but 13 years ago, it wasn't the same way we know it today. What makes it even crazier is that Rust was never meant to exist. It started as a tiny indie project, basically a DayZ clone, made by a small studio that had absolutely no idea what they were doing. Yet somehow, that accidental little clone turned into one of the most watched, most played, and most talked about games of the last decade. This isn't just the story of another survival game. It's the story of how a broken indie experiment became one of the most addictive and unpredictable games ever made. And trust me, the story is so much wilder than you think. So let's get into it. It all started back in 2004, when dinosaurs ruled the Earth. A man from Birmingham decided to create the 2D side-scrolling zombie shooter called Facepunch. It was Garry Newman. And as you might have guessed from the name, Facepunch led to the founding of Facepunch in the future. During the development, Garry also started a small side project. It was a modification of Valve's Source Engine that allowed you to basically do anything. You could build things, break things, attach things to other things, and so on. This side project would soon become Garry's Mod. But the crazy part is, Garry Newman isn't a AAA studio veteran with decades of experience. He's not some Silicon Valley dude who raised $10 million in funding. He's just a simple guy from the UK who liked messing around with games in his free time and accidentally kept making things people loved. At the time, nobody thought that Garry's Mod would going to be anything special. It was a mod, built by one person just for fun. But for some reason, people lost their minds over it. The mod spread like crazy through the gaming community. And then, something unexpected happened. In 2005, Valve reached out to Garry Newman and basically said, "Hey, we want to put this on Steam as a separate game." From that moment, Garry's Mod sold over 25 million copies. And with that money, Garry did what any reasonable person would do. He started a game studio. He called it Facepunch Studios, just a small group of developers based in the UK who wanted to make games they actually thought were cool. After the success of Garry's Mod, Facepunch shifted its focus to another game, DayZ, and the way it happened was just pure comedy. Garry Newman was playing DayZ with close friend Maureen O'Berry. You might know him as Hulk. He's one of the main game designers and lead programmers at Facepunch. During one of their gaming sessions, Hulk made a bold statement. He said he could make an even better game than DayZ. Instead of just laughing it off, Garry showed interest. That moment was the spark that set off the Rust project. With Garry's experience and Maureen's drive, this duo started working. To put it simply, two friends decided to create a clone of a game that was actually a mod for another game, because DayZ is a mod for Arma 2. During the development of Rust, the team had a hard time trying to figure out where exactly they wanted this game to go. It was a survival game, but what else? The team wanted to create a game that was compelling and unique. From the very beginning, they wanted player freedom to be the core. There would be no hand-holding morality systems. Rust would let players decide how to survive, whether by banding together or betraying each other. They wanted to make a game that had the tension of DayZ survival and the creative freedom of Minecraft's building and crafting. The next challenge was figuring out a new game engine. Rust isn't built on the Source Engine like Garry's Mod. It was originally built on the Unity 4.5 engine. The team was faced with the challenge of learning this new engine and the workflow that came with it. Yet somehow, they managed to produce a working prototype in just 6 months. And the first version of Rust was, by every honest measure, a complete mess. We're talking placeholder assets, rough animations, zombies that looked like they were put together on a Friday evening, because they probably were. And instead of just sitting on it and polishing this game, Facepunch did something that was still pretty new and risky at the time. They threw it onto Steam Early Access, which had literally launched in 2013, a couple of months before the Rust prototype was made. At the time, the whole concept of paying for an unfinished game and then waiting for it to be completed seemed really strange to most players. But somehow, in the first week alone, Rust sold over 150,000 copies. No massive marketing campaign, no cinematic trailer, absolutely nothing. Many stated that the game was rough around the edges and had a bunch of bugs, but it was pretty enjoyable to play. In the very beginning, Rust featured zombies as the primary enemy, but as the game changed over time, these zombies were replaced with red mutant animals. However, after this, Rust fell quiet. In 2014, Facepunch did something that on paper sounds like the worst possible decision a small studio could make. They looked at Rust, a game that already had a huge player base and a real community built around it. And you know what? They decided to tear it apart and rebuild it from the bottom up. The developers made the decision not to populate the world with many places to explore, but rather provide the ability to make them. Newman said, "We give them the tools, they make the world." In late 2014, Rust was ported to the new Unity 5 engine. This gives the developers the ability to enhance graphics by improving shaders, mechanics, and textures. As the new game started development, Facepunch posted devlogs each week with rapid progress, new map generation, gameplay, building systems, and so on. Building started with hammering building blocks to construct and upgrade them. Hit it enough, and you'd go from a level 1 all the way up to level 6. But later that year, they moved away from this system to the system we know today. Also, this new version of the game featured a new cheat punch anti-cheat system that banned thousands of cheating players in just a few days. Although this new system wasn't perfect, it definitely helped. But soon after, cheat punch was replaced with an even better anti-cheat, called Easy Anti-Cheat, which is still in use today. In 2015, Rust Experimental became an actual game. Alongside the engine rebuild, Facepunch also changed the entire crafting system. Instead of just picking up materials and instantly making whatever you want, they introduced a blueprint system. These fragments could be used to unlock a random blueprint, or combined to craft a blueprint page. With pages, you could combine them to craft a book. And with numerous books, you could craft a blueprint library. Each tier had better blueprints. Also, that same year, they introduced the first radiated monument, a single brick building that was later swapped out for huge compounds. By the end of the year, we had new monuments like water treatment plant, train yard, power plant, military tunnel, dome, and sewer branch. At the same time, new items were constantly being added to the game, such as crossbow, attachments, semi-auto pistol, M249, custom SMG, craftable quarries and pump jacks, auto turrets, small stashes, rockets and rocket launchers, and many other things. Soon after, in 2016, the developers decided to remove blueprints from the game. The blueprints were replaced with an XP system. Now, every item you could craft was tied to a level. You could level up by doing things like collecting resources, hunting animals, or breaking barrels to earn XP points. Some players were saying it was the best system ever in the game's history, and others were saying it completely sucked. Only 3 months later, the XP system was removed. Instead, Facepunch moved to a component-based system. At the same time, they added recyclers to the game, so you can crush items into components. As for new monuments, the developers made the lighthouse and caves. But that was nothing compared to what would happen in 2017. Rust has received huge changes, such as new monuments, including the launch site, harbor, junkyard, gas station, and supermarket. They made a shift in the game balance with the introduction of scrap, which has since become a primary form of currency in Rust. Later in the year, DevBlock 180 added workbenches and blueprints back into the game to complement the addition of scrap. And all these changes weren't made for no reason. After all, as you may recall, Rust was still in early access. So all these changes were final steps before the official release. Finally, it was time. In 2018, Rust left early access and officially launched on Steam. This was an especially exciting time for Rust. With the official release, the game received even more significant updates, such as new graphics, new safe zones, including Outpost and Bandit Camp, vehicles, including boats and hot air balloons, new weapons, and a lot of other stuff. But the most important thing was adding the first events to the game. It was a Chinook event and a cargo ship event. This was a huge improvement, shifting from static monuments to dynamic events that offered not only the best loot, but also guaranteed action. The amount of stuff that was added during that year is just insane. But you can see that the game is slowly starting to shift into a more casual and welcoming survival experience from a true survival game. In 2019, the developers added minicopters to the game. Initially, they spawned along the roads, so anyone could use them. This was a game changer back then, as before, the only air vehicle we had was the hot air balloon. That same year, they added 3 main monuments to the game: the small and large oil rigs, and a giant excavator, as well as new scientists. Also, in 2019, Facepunch teamed up with Double 11 to port Rust to consoles. During the development of Rust for consoles, we got a few major updates for PC gamers. The most exciting update was the introduction of modular cars, as well as new roads. Also, at the end of 2020, the developers introduced the DayZ 3. It's been 6 years and we're still using the same system. In 2021, Rust absolutely skyrocketed, as some of the biggest streamers jumped on board. Plus, it was the year when console Rust was finally released. This opened the game to a whole new group of players. Despite the success, Facepunch still didn't disappoint and added 3 new monuments. The first one is underground tunnels. Next came the highly wanted underwater labs. And the final monument was the desert military base. In 2022, they added another military base, but this time in the winter biome. Ziplines were another new feature, allowing players to quickly travel between power lines or connected monuments. And of course, the combat update. This update became one of the biggest and most discussed in years, as it completely changed the gunplay and recoil system, which had remained unchanged for almost 7 years. Because of this update, a huge number of players left Rust, but as the developers said, it was necessary. 2023 was the weakest year in terms of updates. All they added were 2 monuments, including Missile Silo and Ferry Terminal. Also, they added a tugboat, an attack helicopter, and a new industrial system that allows players to automate their base. That's it. Sure, we got a bunch of small quality of life changes, new skins, and a few new items and weapons, but it still doesn't live up to past updates. And there was a reason for this, as the developers were getting ready for the most massive update, which took place in 2024. I'm talking about the World Update 2.0. They totally changed the visuals of the terrain, added new waves and water physics, made different rivers, new rock formations, and also added a new monument, a red town. And of course, they finally added a backpack into the game, as well as a pedal and motorbikes, and 5 new weapons. The following year, 2025, became a year of preparation for even bigger changes. First of all, the game was moved to a newer Unity 6 engine, improving performance and graphics. Second, Facepunch was working on a naval update with a deep sea biome and new ships. And lastly, they changed the game balance by lowering the cost of unlocking items via the DayZ 3. Common items now cost 15 scrap instead of 20, and very rare items dropped to 120 scrap instead of 500. Again, 2025 wasn't a super exciting year with huge updates, but 2026 made up for it. The year started with one of the biggest changes to the landscape in Rust history, forcing players off the mainland into the ocean. Players can now build and customize entire floating bases and use them to travel to the new deep sea biome. This new biome includes several tropical islands, ghost ships, a floating city, and new AI bots. Next, they added new attachments for workbenches. And finally, the latest update brought us the biggest graphical character change. Now, most of the players look ugly as hell, and the new animations make it even more funny. But anyway, this is only the beginning. What awaits us in the future? Who knows? But I know that this game will definitely become even better. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button below and subscribe to the channel, it helps me a lot. Also, if you want to support my channel, you can join the membership and become a real chat. So if you have the opportunity, I'd appreciate your support. And if you want to learn even more about Rust, then I've compiled over 100 tips and tricks for Rust and put them all in this one video. The tips cover everything from the beginner level to high-level advanced stuff.